Welcome to A Dose of Feel Good. I'm your host, Whitney Bischoff, and today we are talking about letting your passion be your fuel. You can see full show notes at doseoffeelgood.my.canva.site. Now let's dive into today's episode. Here we are, episode 26, and I am so excited. Our topic today is about letting passion be your fuel. And let me just tell you, this is probably one of my favorite topics that we're recording thus far. If you ask anyone, I am very passionate. So I'm going to try to keep this within our 15-minute time slot. But if I just start rolling with it, it just is more energy for our topic today. So letting your passion be your fuel. I have so many things I'm passionate about, but I think when I think of this topic in particular, I'm a big Broadway girl. I know I've said that before, but I think of this lyric from Hamilton that Hamilton says to Aaron Burr. And he says it a few times throughout the play, but he says, if you stand for nothing, what will you fall for? And I think that is a perfect representation of really knowing what you're passionate about and just diving in full force and knowing that when we do that, even if we fall, we're going to be okay because we are dedicated to what ignites that fire within that we just cannot get enough of. And I have so many things that I think fall in there. I also just get excited about almost everything in life. And I think that stems from this passion, this fire. My friends will tell you as a joke, I'm not allowed to have fires, start fires, have a lighter, anything like that, because it spreads. It's just what I'm known for. But I think that's internally, that's how I am and how I present myself as well. And so when we think of what does this actually look like, it's finding out what are the things that ignite that fire within you, that bubbling up of excitement that you just cannot keep under control, that's deep in your soul. I don't even know how to 100% describe it other than it's just that giddy feeling. Like even just thinking of this topic and sharing it with you all, I have this jitteriness almost in a really great way. But that's what that passion looks like, and people can tell. I've hear all of the time of you can just tell how passionate you are about something, and it's so true. I can just go on and on and on. But I think when we're thinking of what are those things, or even just thinking what am I passionate about, it's also understanding why do you get that feeling when it comes to those different things. Is it the impact that that particular thing has had on you or has made a difference for you? I think a lot of the things that people are passionate about, I think the things that come top to mind are saving the environment or doing good for others or volunteering or just even helping others. And it's because someone had that impact on us. But I think it's also whatever that feeling is where you just get lost in something, that you have this experience and you are just so hyper-focused in those things. I think those are the things that we know we are passionate about, the things that we can never get tired of talking about, which I'll demonstrate here in a bit, don't you worry. But it's also whenever we are talking about it, even if it's something that might not interest somebody else, they feel that spark and that energy. And when we're talking about letting that passion be your fuel, they genuinely feel that spark, that we need fuel to start fires. That's the same thing. It's this spark of just being so excited and can really articulate why these things are so important to us. And I think it's also this reminder Because yes, we all have things we are passionate about, and obviously identifying who and why and what. But life can be hard, or these things that we are so passionate about, they will be attacked. It's just how life goes. But when we allow that fuel to continuously ignite our passion, we can lean on that internal spark to keep us fighting towards what we genuinely believe in. So I'm going to demonstrate this in a few ways. I'm going to start with, like I said, people call me passionate all the time. It's one of those things that I say is one of my core values and strengths is passion. People can feel it off of me in interviews and initial interactions. Like I can just go, and talk about these things that really ignite me. But I'm not gonna lie, they've been tested. Even for myself, I've been told that while you're really passionate, you can be too passionate. And I just don't think that's real, especially in the spaces that I am really passionate about. And so when it is tested, I just rely on that deep internal drive that I am passionate about making the world better for people personally, that larger worldview, everything in between. And like that is what fundamentally drives who I am, what I do. And I don't want that to be dampened. It's this piece that I know where I stand in these spaces, and I'm not going to give them up. I'm not going to make it less because my passion makes somebody else uncomfortable. I'm just not going to do that. I think this can be demonstrated even by things that aren't like, oh, I'm going to change the world passions, right? The other things, y'all are going to get a kick out of this. So clearly, I'm very passionate about Broadway. I was actually just watching Wicked last night for, I can't even tell you how many times, but I was watching when Defying Gravity was coming up, and I just relate so much to Elphaba, which now that I'm reflecting, it's because she is really passionate about her purpose in life, doing things for good, and just being maybe misunderstood a little bit. And anyways, the just light in Cynthia Erivo's eyes when she's singing some of those lyrics that she's not going to accept limits, XYZ. And like, I felt that like deep in my soul. And I mean, I think that's even with like I've been so inspired by obviously Dear Evan Hansen and the work that I'm doing. But I mentioned Hamilton at the beginning. They have a song called Wait For It. And with everything that I've gone through in life of just, experienced a lot of things, but I'm still here and I'm still waiting for my moment to shine. And I, again, could go on and on. But even something like Broadway that I think people can be like, I just don't get it. But like, it deeply moves me whenever I'm listening to and seeing the emotion and just all of the beautiful artistry, I think is super cool. I'm also really competitive, so I'm very passionate about football. I do have a team. I'm not even going to say who it is because people will comment. But it's just any type of competitive energy, especially in football season. Like, I will watch games and cheer for teams that, like, I don't even like that much. But it gives me that spark, if you will. So it doesn't have to be those big life-changing things. But for me, like, I am really, really passionate about spreading joy and helping people to see that good, hence this podcast. I've also, I say this it's in my LinkedIn profile, it's in a variety of other spaces, but helping people see the potential that they can't quite see, that I can see that, and then helping them and empowering them to develop those skills to really reach that potential is something that I am just really focused on. And then from like a mental wellness side of things, where I think joy relates to that empowerment relates to that, but really from a small lens of just people being seen and heard, and that every person's story matters. Those are things that I am so passionate about. And when I'm in spaces that maybe threaten some of those things that I'm passionate about, I will stand up. I will advocate, and I will remove myself from those spaces that don't believe in those same things, because I genuinely believe that you can change people's lives for the good, or sometimes have that negative impact. And I never want to be that person that or in that system that is having that negative impact. So again, I think it just goes back to like letting that passion speak for you is so important, but it also helps you to live your life to the fullest. And I think this is important because that reminder that the world needs your spark. The world needs that energy because it's unique to us. There's no one else who can fill that spot or can bring that same energy. And so when we let our passion be our fuel, it speaks to that spark that others might also need to maybe ignite their own light, if you will. But when we allow that to kind of, I know I've talked a lot about ripples, but it's also that spark that feeds a larger flame, that it helps give us meaning and purpose to why we are here each and every day, and reminds us to keep going because, like I said, the world needs what we bring to the table, and it does make such a big difference. People tell me all the time, like, they can see that light, and it's because I know what I am passionate about, and I can go on and on. And it allows people to also be passionate about those same things, which I think is really important because it helps. The passion that we have helps us steer our course or our life decisions, or even the people that we choose to have relationships with. Like, I want to be around people that feed that fire, if you will. And I think this is evident because we will get people who attempt to water us down. And if we think of really that analogy of that fire within, they will try to throw buckets and buckets of water on us. But if our passion is burning hot enough deep in our soul that no amount of water is going to put us out. If you think of those huge wildfires, right? It takes so much water, or sometimes not even water, sometimes it's dust, right? But if we are burning so brightly that when someone tries to water us down, it's not going to dampen that passion that we have. And it shows that we have a place here, that fire is going to continuously come up and make that difference. But it also shows that others have that same potential if they really fuel that fire within, that when we do face those people who are trying to tell us we have too much passion or things like that, we're not going to let it get in the way of what we were made to do. We're given the skills to do, and that difference that we truly can make. Yeah. So how do we put this into action? I think it's first identifying those things that light you up. And I'm not necessarily saying those big life-changing things necessarily, but like, what are those things that like you feel that energy and that warmth? And when you identify what those are, then also in that feeling, nurture that feeling. Put time and energy into those things that give you that warmth. I surround myself purposely with people who I can talk about my passions with, that we kind of feed off of each other's energy in the best way. And I think that's part of nurturing that, and then also giving ourselves time and space for that. And I am really trying to be better about this, whether that's going to more Broadway shows, which I know, small, but it's also dedicating time to researching for this podcast, or taking the time to really talk with people of the things that just bring me so much joy. But it's nurturing that. I think the third one is really then determining from that passion, where are your boundaries? So it's engaging in conversation that pushes us a little bit, that really kind of feeds to that flame. But also, and I say this all of the time, that like I never want to be in a space that dampens that passion or energy, and teaching myself, how do I advocate for those boundaries because I do not want that passion to go out, because I know that is that light that's within me. And if I don't have that, I'm in a really bad place. And so knowing what those boundaries are, when to engage in conversation, and sometimes when it means to just close that door, because that I don't want that light to go out within me. And so knowing and determining where those boundaries are. And once you've done that, really encouraging yourself, share your light. Even if that thing that you're really passionate about seems absolutely ridiculous. My husband will tell you, I love Squishmallows. Love them. I have so many. I could talk to people all day about when I'm feeling upset. I don't lean on chocolate or food or whatever, comfort food. I go and get myself a Squishmallow because I can cuddle it. It's soft, it's squishy, and I could go on a whole speech of why I'm passionate about that. So it can be something super silly like that, but allowing ourselves to share those things that genuinely bring us so much joy and energy and passion, and share that, because it shows others to share with us what they're passionate about too. And the more that we do that, we continue to feed that flame, that passion, that fuel, so that it can go spark so many others in their own energy, which I just really love. So I kept it short and sweet here today, but I really want to encourage you to share with others those things that you're passionate about, to not hide them, and to let others feel that warmth and energy that you have when you are talking about these things that genuinely fuel who you are, and what makes you unique, and really leaning into that. So that's where we're going to wrap up today. I hope that gives you some warmth and energy to go out and be the best version of you this week.
Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you are feeling ready to conquer the week and let your impact ripple out to the world around you. Let's connect on Instagram and Threads at Dose of Feel Good Podcast. If you're loving the podcast, I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button and leave a review. Until next time, share your own dose of feel good and never underestimate the power of positivity.